Ron Block, 1500 West Military, Fremont, Nebraska. We've spent over 5 years on this draining project that we've been working on. No results. Last fall, met with Jeff with the DU, said he would look into it again and get back with me. Didn't happen. Called this spring. Didn't even remember talking to me last fall. Called again this spring. No response. I was here on the 26th, made my request, and told Jody the buck stopped with her. As of the 25th of this month, no response. Just before this meeting this month, Dan called with some delay tactics again. Our administrator needs to administrate. 5 years and nothing has been accomplished. How can you run a city when they won't fix their problems? Last time I checked, you can't dam up water on somebody's property and cause damage to somebody else. Enclosed is how the DU takes care of their property, which I have give to already. I have a statement that I received the other day from our former city administrator. I'm going to read it out loud. Ron, it was good to hear from you today. Thanks for calling. As we discussed, we had worked out a solution to your drainage issue, which I felt was caused when the city built the electrical substation adjacent to your property. When I was city administrator, when you told me that nothing was ever done to fix the drainage, I was disappointed since I had spoken to several people with the city and electrical department about this. Hopefully you can work this thing out. And that's Brian Newton. Lastly, I think the city's got two choices. We will fix the problem and give us a completion date, number one, or number two. Ron, this is not a problem. Go away. That is what you've been doing for the last 5 years. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. And by the way, the fireworks goal has been reached at 1:30 today. We're fully funded.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Jan Yankee.
I'm Jan Yankee. I'm with Fremont VFW Auxiliary. My address is 1338 West Dakota Street in Fremont. Last year, we spoke with the time Mayor Joey Spellberg, and he gave us permission to put up the Faces of Freedom banners, which we have 140 of them up right now. We have a list for over 75 other people who want to purchase banners to be hung. We also were told that we had a donor that would buy brackets and we could put them up so we could have more banners. There are brackets up on Broad Street going north. There are brackets downtown. There are brackets out by the airport that have banners on them that are tattered and torn. And we're trying to get answers as to why we cannot use the brackets that are already up. We worked with the mayor and he is very helpful to us, we feel, but we don't feel we're getting the cooperation from the rest of the city to give the veterans the recognition they need. It's really important to them that they get their veterans picture up as well as the ones that we already have. And I think it's a great idea for the 250th year. We had a great celebration at the middle school on May 2nd. We had over 400 people attend. We had a great response to everything. And so we're just looking for more cooperation from the city and responses when I send emails as to why we cannot use those brackets that are already available. And that's all I have to say.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Carol Ness.
My name is Carol Ness, and I live at 2170 Rosedale Road here in Fremont. And I am representing veterans, all veterans organizations. My main reason for speaking is to support our veteran organizations. I have been a resident in Nebraska, in Dodge County, for 40 years. And as I speak, you know, I was not born and raised here. I'm from the East Coast, and I met my husband when he was, he toured Vietnam, and he was transferred. He was supposed to go to Colorado, and 2 weeks before he left Nebraska, he was living in Hooper at the time, he got transferred to Massachusetts. And lo and behold, that's how I ended up here in Nebraska. We met and married and came back. But on May 2nd, 2026, the Faces of Freedom presentation was a true example of family and friends displaying respect and being thankful for what veterans' families sacrifice and continue to do so, which allows us the freedom we have to speak today. The banners displayed in this community brings pride to every one of us, especially during the 250th year of our country's celebration. Reminder, every one of us should help support in whatever way we can. My thought with a community this size of Dodge County, how many veterans, families live, work, and how many have children in schools or have businesses here? Not born here, it puzzles me. There isn't even a building to all these veteran organizations to have meetings and meet, except for the DAV. Small neighboring towns not only have their own buildings, but are displaying amazing memorials. My key concerns with the community is communication, set an approach or plan for setup and takedown. We have like 70 or more banners on waiting, would love to be up there. Cost, of course, no matter what project you have, there's cost. And our auxiliary is nonprofit. We have not done anything to raise money or earn money for this big project. But the time frame this year, luckily, we were able from Memorial Day to Veterans Day, and we've had little opportunities to have fundraiser, but we now have a yard flag banner to help with costs for future. Working together, I strongly feel we can achieve these articles, and we owe this much to our veterans and to the future of our history of our future generation. Thank you for your time.
You bet. Thank you.
The next speaker is AJ Smithson.
State your name and address, please.
Andrew Smithson, 650 East Linden Avenue. Oh, do I just,
Go ahead.
okay, sorry. First time. So I am the local VFW Post 854 commander, and on behalf of my auxiliary, was asked to come and voice some of our concerns. Primarily, just the pushback from the city administrator, not the council nor the mayor. Just want to make that known. Of this banners around town, which were widely well received, especially in the newspaper, and not really giving credit fully to all the hard work our VFW auxiliary has done. The city, named after a famous general post War of 1812, prior Civil War, one of the most famous military men we've had, John C. Fremont, plus 2 murals in town, a Veterans Park, and a not VFW, but Vietnam Memorial area over at Clemens. So we just hope moving forward, this town can continue the excellence of honoring those veterans, because at one time our Legion had almost 1,000 members in this town at an all-time high. And our VFW post had an all-time high of almost 900 members. Super impressive for such a small community, what our numbers were back when they answered the call. And I just hope that we can work together as veteran organizations, VFW, Legion, TAV, Marine Corps Legion, I think they are, and the AMVET riders that we have in town. And just continue the tradition of honoring those of us that served and had served, meaning our fathers, forefathers, and so on. I know I'm early on my time, but that's all I had.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
The next speaker is Deb Christensen.
I'm Debbie Christensen. I live at 1734 North Maxwell in Fremont. As we started this project, we attempted to get some information, which was not easy. We inquired about, there were some flags in the town up that the local chamber had put up. And when I talked to Brenda there, she told me the banners were put up by the Department of Utilities in their spare time. So I thought, oh, that'll be great. They'll probably help us. I left a message for Jeff Shanahan 4 times and had to leave a message and have never received a call back. Sounds kind of familiar, doesn't it? We were informed that the city would charge us for putting up 40 banners downtown, $5,000 for 100 banners on 23rd Street, $7,000. Luckily, the Fremont BID volunteered to pay the $500 for downtown, knowing that it would certainly bring more people down to their stores. We were able to get the intercompany to volunteer to pay for the banners, the $7,000. Instead of paying for it, they put them up free. This is a service project for veterans. This is not a money-making thing for us. We charge the people exactly what it cost us from Maxi to make them, and they are wonderful. On May 2nd, we had that celebration. The mayor was there and spoke, and several others. And we had, like, say, it was probably like 450 people, families that came to see that. That's an amazing number for anything. And then on Monday after that, we gave it to the Department of Utilities, and we gave it to the city, and a couple days later, they put them up, the flags. A couple days after that, the city put up our banners and first they put up the banners. 2 days later, they put up the flags. So we've got one pole, now a flag and a banner. And then a couple days later, they put up the flowers. So they've been at that pole 3 times in about a week and a half, which obviously means they could have done it all at the same time, at least the banners and the flags, their flags. Instead of charging us all that money for the BID. I want to know, what did they do with that $5,000? Since it was not in their budget, the street department employees probably did not get double pay for putting those up. And I didn't really ever think of the street department as money making. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Hortensia Seniena.
State your name and address, please.
Hortensia Villaseñor, 235 East Sixth Street. I'm here because 2 weeks ago I find out my husband and I, we have a business downtown. We've been there for over 26 years. Parking is all the time a problem there. I guess that's no good news for you. You know, guys, that we have a parking problem downtown. And on the 6th Street between Main and D, there is about 4 business. The problem that I've been having over these 26 years is the parking, because I have a bar, the Dugout, next to my business. I just found out a couple weeks ago that they request to close the street on July the 10th. And that will affect my business, because that's gonna take all my business for that day. If they're gonna close from 5 to midnight, my business, the busy time will be from 4:30 to 7:30, 7:40. So I just want to know, how, guys, do you granted something like that and doesn't think about the other business around? Dugout is not the only business downtown, and it's not the only business in that block. And I just want to request to review that and help me with that. Hopefully you can find a solution. I need a solution before the 10th of July. I don't need a solution 1 year later. That helps to pay my bills. And it's been just hard here in Fremont. The problem that we have with the Dugout is sometimes 17 years ago, we asked the city to the request to give us a 30-minute parking, the 6th Street, and they granted. We have it. And the problem is the people comes to the Dugout and they don't gonna take 30 minutes to drink a beer. Sometimes they take 2-3 hours. And the solution that I have is just to call the police. I call the police, they call and remove them. And then they come to my business, really upset, really mad, cursing us, threatening us, and I have to make a police report. So I really need help. Last time that they came threatening us and telling us that they're gonna flash us all the way to Mexico, that was unacceptable. And I don't going to accept anymore those kind of comments on us. I am tired. I have been a citizen of Fremont for over 27 years. I follow the law, and I all the time pay my taxes and try to be respectful to the other people. That's all what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Seth Coates.
Seth Coates, 1215 County Road X, Fremont, Nebraska. I want to begin with the contradiction at the center of our issue. The city claims to provide organized, competitive, and merit-based employment opportunities to its citizens. But despite claiming to be merit-based, the city has specifically excluded lawful Nebraska Rule 13 graduates from employment. The city appears to claim that accepting a Rule 13 high school diploma from a homeschool graduate for an entry-level first responder position creates some kind of ambiguous legal risk. But the city's own job requirements do not support that position. Public safety positions with greater authority and greater responsibility do not require accredited high school diploma. Some of those positions include deputy police chief, fire captain, police captain, and police detectives. So under the city's own logic, Rule 13 high school diplomas is unacceptable. They're unacceptable for entry-level applicants, but the accreditation requirement somehow becomes unnecessary for positions with more authority, more responsibility, and greater public trust. This does not make sense. If hiring someone educated under Rule 13 in Nebraska creates intolerable legal liability at the entry level, how does that liability disappear at the captain, chief, or command level? The inconsistency does not stop there. It exists within the same positions. The city's current police officer posting on its public website lists the minimum educational requirements as graduation from high school, but internal documents produced by the city through public records requests list the same police officer educational requirements as graduation from an accredited high school. So which standard controls? Is the public standard the applicant actually sees when applying, or is it the internal standard hidden in city records? How can the city claim accreditation is a clear, established merit-based requirement when the city itself cannot maintain consistency for the same position? This is not a merit-based standard. It is a hidden standard. It is a selectively applied barrier being used to discriminate against people legally educated under NRS 79-1601. That is exactly why the Civil Service Commission matters. On May 6th, we filed a verified citizen petition under NRS 19-1830, asking the commission to investigate whether the city used unpublished educational requirements to exclude qualified applicants from a merit-based hiring process. I believe the commission should go further to examine whether these abuses have affected current City of Fremont employees whose hiring, promotion, and employment rights are protected by the Civil Service Act. The act was not intended to let City Hall, through human resources, quietly control the standards, definitions, screening decisions, and eligibility lists behind the scenes. The commission is supposed to be the merit safeguard, but a merit system cannot be real if the rules are unwritten, undefined, they're hidden, and the decision-making authority is unclear. I'm asking again, any city council member to sponsor an agenda item concerning the city's hiring practices. The public deserves better. Your employees deserve better. And applicants deserve a process where the rules are public, consistent, lawful, and actually based on merit.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Teresa McCrander.
My name's Teresa McGrander. I live at 1825 North Keene Avenue. Been a resident here for a lifetime. I am waiting for my servicemen. I have 4 family members' flags that I want to go up on those poles. I don't think the city administrator should stop whatever all the citizens want. Those are a very good thing, and it honors all of our veterans. And I'm very disappointed that the city administrator put a stop to what this is. Those flags are very nice, and it's a very honorable to our veterans. And I want my family members' flags up on the pole. You got empty poles, you got people that are buying those flags. In fact, I bought 4. And I don't know why this is even an issue when it doesn't cost the city a dime. And then it is stopped. You guys as council members should override your city administrator, because I don't know if she has any veterans in her family, but those poles and those flags are very honorable. And I want my flags flown here in Fremont for my family members that have died for our freedom. It's very nice that those ladies did all that work, 3,000 hours of work. They have all these volunteers. They had everything worked out. The city doesn't have to do anything. Not anything for these ladies. And they put a stop to it. I think Jody should be talked to, and I think the mayor should do something about it, because she's stopping a very good thing. And I hope and pray that my flags will be on a pole soon.
Thank you. That's it. All right, I'll call the meeting to order. At 7 o'clock, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Open Meeting Act is posted on the back of the wall next to the agendas, and a complete copy of the agenda and backup is available on the table in the center of the room. Roll call.
Seven members are present, one member absent, Mayor.
Thank you. Mayor's comments tonight. We've got some service awards for June. Alicia Hayek, 25 years. Alicia was hired in 2001 as a senior officer associate at the police department. Brandon Lorenzen, 25 years. Brandon was hired in 2001 as a police officer. In 2009, he was promoted to police detective. Is he here? Yeah.
We only have one.
Oh, okay. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. The next one is Tyler Hancock, 25 years of service. Tyler was hired in 2001 as a police officer. Saw you here. Okay, Shayna Everett, 20 years of service. Shayna has been with the Fremont Dodge County 911 since 2006. She's here. Okay, next up is Nathan Smith, 5 years of service. Nathan was hired as a stores associate in 2021. And the last one for tonight is Derek Byers, 5 years of service. Derek was hired in 2021 as a power plant mechanic. So a round of applause for all them in there. And that's all I have for mayor's comments tonight. We'll go to item number 1, motion to adopt the current agenda for the June 30th, 2026 regular city council meeting. Councilman Horner,
I will make the motion to adopt the current agenda for the June 30th, 2026 regular city council meeting.
Councilwoman Gannon,
Second.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
thank you. Public hearings tonight. Item number two, resolution 2026-151, making a recommendation to the Nebraska Liquor Control Commission for a Class C liquor license location change application of Renita Restaurant to 709 North Broad Street. Staff?
Thank you, Mayor. Michael Chatterson, City Clerk. This is a liquor control item where council needs to make a recommendation to the Nebraska Liquor Control Commission regarding a location change for a current license holder. This is for Renita's Restaurant. They are moving from 343 North Main to 709 North Broad. The applicant does have a letter of support from Lifehouse in the backup. That is one of the stipulations in the application. If you're within 150 feet of a indigent shelter, church, school, hospital. So they do have letter of support from Lifehouse to kind of satisfy that requirement. Again, this only is for the location change. It's not affect their underlying license otherwise. So I can take any questions from council.
Any comments from council? Okay. Any comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll close the public comments. I'll take a motion in this regard. Councilman Vaughn,
Motion to approve.
Councilman Horner,
I'll second.
The motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
thank you. Item number three, resolution 2026-152, making a recommendation to the Nebraska Liquor Control Commission for a manager amendment for Annexa Hospitality DBA Fairfield Inn and Suites at 2410 North Yeager Road. Staff report.
Thank you, Mayor. Michael Chatterson, City Clerk. This is another Liquor Control Commission item. The council will need to make a recommendation to the Liquor Control Commission. This is a manager amendment for the Fairfield Inn and Suites liquor license. This is just a change of their the liquor license manager, so the person who kind of oversees the liquor on premises. So I can take any questions from council on this.
Any comments from council? Okay, I'll open the public hearing on this. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and I'll come back to council for a motion or any discussion. Councilman Jensen,
I'll make the motion to approve resolution 2026-152.
Councilwoman Gannon,
I'll second.
The motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
thank you. Item number four, ordinance 5747, conditionally approving zoning change from R1 to R2 for Washington Heights 6th Edition, lots 6A through 10B, Block 1, at the request of Quad County Property Management. Staff?
Hey, Mr. Mayor, Council, Jeff Ray, Planning Director. Before you have a request to change 10 lots from R1 to R2. These lots have been previously platted back several decades ago, remained vacant since that time. They were platted as attached single family or duplexes. The proposed use for that is still the same, but to comply with some of the other plans that the city has, the property owner is requesting a zone change to R2 to reduce some of the lot sizes from 6,500 square feet to just a little less than 5,000 square feet. This complies with our comprehensive plan and our affordable housing plan by creating smaller lots, smaller units and more units to be more efficient. It's also in compliance with the future land use plan that we have. The existing infrastructure, the street and everything that's in there currently has capacity, and we have Public Works review that for the potential of having a few extra units on that street. So that should not be an issue. At the public hearing for Planning Commission, There was concerns about traffic and parking in particular. We do not feel that that is going to be an issue, particularly with the proposed attached single-family units that would go in there. Each one has a two-car garage and two-car parking driveway, so it would provide 4 parking spaces per unit, which should be more than adequate parking. It should not create a parking issue on the street and still allow all that adequate vehicular circulation. The other issue that was raised at the Planning Commission was localized drainage and potential flooding. That area of the community is vulnerable to some drainage. There's a drainage ditch just to the north of this, and there were some pictures that were accepted by the Planning Commission that I believe probably swayed the Planning Commission a little bit in their recommendation or their lack of recommendation for approval. And in looking at that as well with Public Works and the city engineer, we felt that that existing condition is a much bigger condition, and it isn't specifically directly related to this zone change, nor would this zone change affect that particular situation. The individual lots, as they are brought forward for building permits, will require grading permits and a drainage study or a drainage plan, I should say, to show how they're going to be drained. The 2 that have been submitted to date show that with a small drainage swale near the rear property line, running down the side property lines and draining everything back to the street the way it's designed, not creating any additional drainage onto any properties to the west or north or the south. With that being said, we felt that it would be prudent to ensure that those drainage swales stay in place, and recommended then post Planning Commission that a condition be added to require that those drainage swales, as those properties come forward for building permits, provide an easement over those drainage swales so future property owners understand that that needs to be remain free and clear for drainage, and would not impede it in any particular way with a wall or fill it in any way, and then somehow create a drainage problem on an adjacent property. So that was an additional item that we decided would be necessary or would help benefit in the future, and avoid some long-term complications should something arise from that. With that, staff recommends approval.
Any comments or questions from council? Councilman Horner?
Thank you, Mayor. Jeff, thank you for the explanation. I did shoot in a question earlier, and you provided an answer, and I just wanted to clarify a couple of things there. Can you, and I don't know if you can answer this, so if there's anybody else in the in attendance here, I just wanted to hear a little bit more about these drainage swales that are going to be added as drainage easements. Where are those located? Are they located on the sides, the back, the front of the property? Where would they be located, and kind of how do they work if somebody, I mean, I understand they drain water and they move water. Are they moving it forward? Are they moving it back, et cetera?
Sure. So the engineering plans that have been submitted that are in process and being reviewed right now, they have not been approved, but they are in process with Building and Safety and Public Works. Illustrate that as each individual units are being built together, the 2 units, they're raised to have basements that would be uninhabited or unhabitable space. So they would use the extra dirt on that property. So they would raise the house slightly. That property then drains away from the house towards the property lines. But prior to the property line would be the swale that slopes back in that would catch that property from the rear and make basically a U shape around the 2 units to drain everything back around the outside of that and down the side property lines to West Side Street. So it would not go further west into the existing acreages, nor would it go north or south to any of the other properties, but go down those common property lines that are unbuilt.
Okay, thanks. And is the applicant happen to be here? Is there a representative from the applicant? that
There is
could
an
answer some
applicant.
questions?
Yeah, there is a representative from the applicant.
If they could come forward, I would appreciate it.
Please state your name and address for us.
Corey Christensen, 2050 East 23rd Street here in Fremont. First, thanks Jeff for preparing that. I think you pretty much took everything off my notes. We have a great project with these are zero entry, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom homes that we're looking to put in. I actually have pictures of some that we've currently built, and we also have some that are directly across the street. Those that are directly across the street kind of give you guys an idea of what the R2 looks like, because those are built that way, and there's nice spacing between the duplexes. Could I present these to you guys to take a look?
Take a motion to receive.
I'll make that motion to receive.
Motion by Horner. Second by Jensen.
I'll second.
The first one you'll see is one that we just completed. We're building these very similar to the ones that we'll be building right there on West Side. Like I said, there's zero entry, 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms. They have a smaller footprint, so it fits really well with the diversity already within the neighborhood. They don't look like they're too tight, as you'll see, especially the second picture, you'll see what it looks like from the street view in regards to density. And then there's a few more that we've just built within the last year. You'll see they're all zero entry. They're all the same. They're 2 bedroom, 2 bathroom. They're great because they're awesome for like the new young professionals or people that want to, retire and, maybe come down to a smaller home.
Can I continue?
Yeah.
Thank you for that, and for giving us these. The only comment I'm going to make on these is that in the real estate business, zero entry is very much needed. I've got clients that are always looking, or it seems like looking for zero entry properties. So that's great to see those. My question, tell me your name again.
Corey Christensen.
Corey?
Yep.
Corey, my question is more towards this drainage issue and everything. And I guess I just wanted to hear from you guys that you understand it, you agree with it, you intend to follow it, and you're going to do your level best to make sure that these lots are draining properly.
100%. And, I, met with some neighbors and they have some, legitimate issues. But a lot of it, it wasn't because of our project. It was just their longstanding issues that they were trying to get kind of figured out that. And so I understand, where some of the concerns might be coming from. With ours, we are working with JEO, who is following all the guidelines and requirements that are needed for here in the city of Fremont. And so we'll make sure that we do everything that's needed. And if we have to do something additional, we'll look at that as well. Not a engineer, so it's hard to I don't even understand what a swale is. I have a visual, but I'm not exactly sure what that is. But yeah, yep.
Councilman Von Baron.
Yeah, just a couple of questions for understanding. I'm a little paranoid, just not because of you at all, Corey. It's in our neighborhood. A few years ago, we fought a pretty massive flooding problem, literally, where water was coming off. I'm not exaggerating. Our streets were rivers. We had one house alone that had $40,000 worth of damage. And thankfully and appreciatively for the city, they remedied the problem. But it's not an easy one. It's painful. It's a pain. So maybe the easiest way to answer the question, do the solution that you're proposing, or the statements with the swales and the drainage, Jeff, does that answer the Planning Commission's concerns? The questions that were raised in the
Yeah,
by the planning commission, were those be satisfied by what you're saying?
That is my assumption. The planning commission didn't specifically state what their concern was, so I can't really answer that question. That was the majority of the testimony that was heard at the planning public hearing. That was my understanding as to why the planning commission went the direction they did. It is, in my view, as well as what Public Works and my conversations with them, and understanding that this will help put an additional protection in place, that should be fine. The area has already received a letter of map revision from FEMA and been brought out of the floodplain itself, but that doesn't necessarily address the adjacent properties. And there are other flooding and drainage concerns coming from further west and further north in Fremont, obviously this being the furthest northwest piece, where that drainage and flooding came from previously. So it's not going to address all of those, but it shouldn't, this project would not impact any of the additional neighbors, and I have a lot of confidence in that.
Okay. Regarding the parking, looking at these, if the ones that you've already built, which look very nice, but if there's an existing parking problem right now with basically the same design, what's the neighborhood concern? I mean, it looks like the ones you built, there's adequate parking for the people there, but still there appears to be a residential parking problem.
It's a different design actually, and some smaller lots that are further to the south where I believe the parking is. When I went out there and looked, it wasn't this area of Riverside or West Side that had the parking problems, or where there were a lot of cars parked on the street, but further to the south on I can't remember the name of the street, the east-west street on the further south, there were numerous cars parked there, and the drives were designed different, with the attached unit, with the garages on the outside instead of being on the inside. So you had garage, a little bit of green, garage, driveway, a little bit of green, driveway, a little bit of green. So there was no space in between on the street in some areas to actually park, or it's very tight to put one car between two driveways. The design that's currently being built puts the two driveways together, and then creates a larger green space that can accommodate multiple vehicles, instead of being so broken up and being a driveway and then a little green in the driveway a little bit. And they were smaller lots as well.
Okay.
May I address that question as well?
Sure, please.
Thank you. The other thing is if you look on those roads where they're having congestion, they're 2 stories or they're basement homes, which just means more bedrooms, which means more people. And so my interpretation of that is that you have the teenagers with the cars, and I know what my driveway looks like at my house. And so my understanding is when you have more bedrooms, you're going to have more issues with some of the parking. And the areas that I know in Washington Heights where they have those issues are typically like 2-story or basements with multiple bedrooms, where ours is very simple, 2-bedroom. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any more questions, Councilman Horner?
Just one more. I just wanted to point out, when I'm looking at this, you got a 2-car garage. You got the ability to park 2 cars in the garage. These are 2-bedroom slab on grade homes.
Correct.
So you got 2 places to park in the garage, and it looks like on the driveway, you can do at least 2 more cars in the driveway.
At least 2 more, yep.
So you have places on these for 4 cars for off-street parking.
Yes.
Now, what I'm going to say is, and I don't mean to sound derogatory, but I've lived in Fremont long enough to know that Fremonters don't like to park in their garage. They turn their garage, they turn their garages into something else, and that's by choice. And that's okay. That is okay. But the space, it looks to me like it's being provided that if you make the choice to park off the street, you can. And if you make the choice to park on the street, that is perfectly legal in Fremont. And I believe West Side seems a little wider than some of the other streets out in Washington Heights to me. I think is it Ohio when you go down and you got them on both sides? That seems like a pretty narrow corridor, but West Side seems a little wider than that. It's a newer street.
So that last picture is the reason why I took that picture, is that area of West Side, you only see 1 or 2 cars. And I think it's due to the type of homes that are there, that you don't have the 2-story or the basement homes. And so you just don't have that. But when you go to the other streets where they do have that, that's just where you see the cars in the streets. And it is plenty wide, but that is the reason I added that last picture, is just to show, what West Side Ave looks like. There just isn't a lot of parking on the street there. Thank you.
Any other comments from council? Okay,
Can I make a couple more points about the
Sure.
project?
go ahead.
Is that okay?
Yeah,
Um,
go ahead.
Since I'm up here, I also wanted to talk, it's the last unfinished area of West Side, which means that we get to complete that sidewalk. Right now, that trail stops and they have to get out and walk on the road. So it does provide that pedestrian walkway that now connects the entire, development. So I just wanted to make sure that that was clear as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Open the public hearing on this. Come on up. Please state your name and address.
Donna Younghans, I live at 2549 West Side Avenue, and I also own 2551 West Side Avenue. First of all, I want to thank Mr. Ray. He answered my questions. I don't think you get this enough. Sat with me for almost an hour with 2 screaming kids and answered more questions than he probably wanted to. So, and thank you, Mr. Horner, for your time today. In the simplest of terms, this rezoning proposal would allow for the construction of 2 additional affordable homes, providing housing for 4 more families. We've all heard the concerns about flooding. Neither you or I can say with certainty that adding these 2 homes would increase or decrease the flooding at West Side Avenue. However, I'm asking at this point, before approving the zoning change, that you're confident that the existing known drainage and flooding issues have viable solutions, along with a realistic timeline for implementing those solutions. There's been solutions that have been proposed and we have not seen that. The drainage needs to be worked on so that all these families don't have to move out of their house because it's flooded, or that there's water somewhere, or you can't get to your job because the street is flooded. Thank you for your time.
Yep, thank you. Anybody else from the public? All right, seeing none, I'll close it. Oh, go ahead.
My name's Bruce Nelson. I live at 2550 North Bridge Road. I guess my gripe is I thought we had this all finalized several years ago. It seemed like every year we were up here trying to change that to R2. It's always stayed on R1. In fact, years ago when they plotted this, old Mr. Art Gifford said it would always stay R1. So I just think need a little bit of buffer between all those little duplexes against our houses that are bigger lots. Any questions?
Nope. Thank you. Anybody else on this? Please state your name and address.
My name is Gloria Triggs. I live at 2672 North Ridge Road, and I have lived there for 50 years. This is, I believe, my 6th trip to City Council regarding the rezoning of this particular property. And in 1978, we were assured that it would remain R1. And when they redid the airport runway, there was a whole new drainage system instituted and approved by the city council. The water was to run to the north. That does not happen when we have rains of 6 to 7 inches, which we have had in the past. And this entire area is flooded over into Washington Heights. The drainage ditch through Washington Heights that runs to the north of my property is not kept cleared. The ground to the north of me and the ditch is farmed, and the dirt grows into that drainage ditch. The farm ground was corn last year, and after it was harvested, there was no overturning of the soil. And now the drainage ditch is full of corn husks from last year's crop, which also impedes the drainage through that area. Earlier this spring, there was an excavator that excavated at the end of Seton Street, and then they went out onto North Ridge Road at the area where it drains from the ditch across, and it was cleared on both sides of North Ridge Road, but the area from Seton Street to North Ridge Road was not cleared. This also is a nesting area for the killdeer, which I don't know if you are familiar with those, but they are nesting in that area and have their babies, and they are there throughout the summertime, and I'd hate for that habitat to be damaged with this project. I just would like your consideration, and I did submit pictures and this information to Mr. Chatterson's office earlier today, and I hope you have all seen the pictures. If not, I could submit them again.
Thank you. Anybody else on this? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Comments from council? Councilwoman Lathrop?
Jeff, maybe you can clarify for us that when this was originally zoned R1, at that time, duplexes or single-family attached homes were allowed in R1. Is that correct?
I don't know what the original zoning was. It was originally platted, I know,
platted,
for
okay.
attached units, whether they were duplex and or attached single family. And you know that when you look at the lots, when it's lot 2B and 2A and 3B and 3A, they were intended to be an attached unit in there. That's remained the same over the decades. But this is the last piece that has not been built out with those larger lots.
So basically, all we're doing is changing from R1 to R2 and making the lots just a little bit smaller when they do come forward. It really isn't
That is
big of a change.
correct. So the minimum lot size would go from 5,000 down in area lot 1 or R1 to 3,250 in R2. The property owner and developer is not going that small. They're going just the proposed lots that they've submitted to date that would be contingent upon this zone change are 4,800 and change. So just slightly less than the minimum 5,000, which is what triggered their request for going R2 to go to R2 to allow for that to happen. So to allow for a smaller unit to be more affordable and then increase some additional units to help offset the costs of the infrastructure and land.
And I've had a little insight on the project, and it is a great project. There's some other pieces to that. I don't know if I'm able to speak to that, but it is a great project.
Councilman Horner.
Thank you, Mayor. This is going to be the last time I'll bring anything up on this subject, but whenever that comes up from Councilman or Councilperson Lathrop, that I have to reminisce, and I am going to bring up the issue of when we made the UDC changes. One of the things that I tried to point out was that that is such a huge undertaking. It touches every single aspect of life in a city. And we are making decisions to change things that affect past decisions where people made choices and they made plans and they spent money. And then suddenly we're making the change and we couldn't possibly anticipate everything that would be affected. Even at Sunridge, we had to make changes from R1 to R2 because there it was reversed, right? I mean, there it was where we were already too small or too big, and we had already platted, and now all of a sudden we've got the other problem, and we had to make that change to R3 actually, so that we were accommodating of everything that was in that platted area. And those were already platted out. They were already, the money was already spent. The owner had already made the investment, and by the stroke of a pen, we kind of messed that up. And so I think that's a little bit of what's going on here. You know, we've done stuff in the past, and now this goes to R2, makes much better sense for it whenever I sit down and look at it on paper. So I'm going to stop. I'm just going to say that I think that this is a purely zoning issue, and I think we've got to address it from that standpoint so that we don't lose sight of what we're trying to do when we do these zoning changes and all these other things. And when we do find things where it makes sense to accommodate, we have to do it. So that's all I want to say.
Any more comments from council? Otherwise, I'll take a motion. Councilman Peterson.
I make a motion to approve.
Councilwoman Lathrop.
Second.
First reading, yes.
That motion carries 6-1, Mayor. Ordinance number 5747, an ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, amending ordinance number 5730 as it pertains to the zoning map to rezone 1.68 acres in Washington Heights 6th Edition, lots 6A through 10B, Block 1, Fremont, Nebraska, from R1 low density residential to R2 low medium residential district, providing for repeal of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. First read.
Thank you. Councilman Peterson.
Is it proper for me to make a motion now to just to move this to one reading? Am I late saying that? I would like to
Suspend the rules to go to the last, you want to suspend the rules to go to the last reading?
I would like to do that if we could, just because the construction season is always short here in Nebraska, and I think sooner is better than later. And I would just like to, if we're gonna say, there's nothing that's gonna change my mind anyway in the next time. So they've been waiting a long time to get this done, and I think that'd be just a courtesy to the contractor and developer to something where the need is very great for this too. The sooner they get done, the more we're gonna accommodate more people in housing.
Do I have a motion? Councilman Lathrop,
Second.
I have a second.
That motion carries 6-1, Mayor. Ordinance number 5747, an ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, amending ordinance number 5730 as it pertains to the zoning map to rezone 1.68 acres, Washington Heights, 6th edition, lots 6A through 10B, block 1, Fremont, Nebraska, from R1 low density residential to R2 low medium residential district, providing for repeal of ordinances in conflict herewith, providing for severability, and providing an effective date. Final reading.
Thank you. We need to cast our final vote. Go ahead and cast your final vote.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5747 is approved.
Mayor, can I interject? There was a mistake just made. I thought when you called for final vote, I hit yes. I was at a no for the suspension of rules, and I think I changed my vote inadvertently. I just wanted to make that known.
So you were a yes vote? You were a yes vote? Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Got it.
I believe it registered as a no vote originally when we read through it. So it still would have been 6-1, I believe, according to my vote. So I'll record that correctly. Cool.
All right, thank you. Moving on to consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless city council member or staff so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda considered separately. Anything to remove from the consent agenda? Councilman Horner.
Item number 10, please.
Councilman Von Baron.
Number 9, please.
Anybody else? Okay. I'll take a motion for the consent agenda minus items number 9 and 10. Councilman Vaughn.
Motion to approve as amended.
Councilman Jensen.
And I will second.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Thank you. Item number 9, motion to receive quarterly financial report.
Honorable Mayor, City Council, Jennifer Knapp, Finance Director. I've submitted for you all to receive the quarterly report. This time we've put every account number for both the city side and the DU side, actuals to date through June, just so we can see, so everyone can see where we're at for transparency. And I'm available for any questions.
Questions from council? Councilman Von Baron.
No, the only reason I've given Jen a heads up, I think it's just some of the discussions we have. I don't think we need a lot of detail, but it might be good to just through your eyes, Jen, just to kind of see just 2-3 minutes of what you see coming at us, what we should be watching, items potentially of concern. We don't need to get into the forecast for the next couple of years, but obviously it looks like we might be headed into some more restrictive times. So just general feel of the budget from your perspective.
Yeah, sure. So the inflation since, 2020, the dollars, now we're at the $1.33. We all know that inflation has hit us all. In addition, there's been some unfunded legislation for retirement. We're required to do comparables on salaries. Insurance has gone up 30%. Also risk of cyber and other things. So while we've been very fiscally responsible, lowering our property tax levy, year after year, other than last year went up a little bit, the costs have gone up higher than our revenues, and we had a balanced budget. And this last time I presented that we had a gap for 26, which we thought we could manage. But for 27, we have a gap in the budget in the general fund, and it's because those salaries and costs have gone up more than our revenues. And so we are all evaluating our budgets. Myself am holding off. I had an accountant retire, and we're choosing not to replace her right now, and just trying to tighten purse strings. And but the reality is, with the salaries and insurance costs and stuff, I don't know that we can tighten that much. So other decisions will need to be made.
As I said, I had no particular agenda with that, but I think it's good periodically for the public to hear just kind of in general where we're headed. There's always a lot of swag. There's always a lot of fluctuation. It's never a straight line. But the trend is pretty clear, and it's just good for the public to understand that we're watching, there's concern, no reason for alarm, just pay attention, and we appreciate what you're doing by paying attention. So thank you.
Any more comments from council or questions? Okay. Thank you. Any public comments on this? Seeing none, I'll come back to council for a motion. Councilman Jensen?
If there's no other comment from council, I'll make the motion to receive the quarterly report.
Councilman Lathrop?
Second.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Item number 10, resolution 2026-153, authorizing a special event application of 505 Brewing Company for street closures and outside special designated license for a fall festival on October 3rd, 2026.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council, Michael Chatterson, City Clerk. This is a special event application of the 505 Brewing Company. They were planning to have their fall festival on October 3rd. They're going to block off 4th Street from Main to Park, as well as request permission to have the outside special designated license is kind of par for the course for their events. I believe there may have been some concern with having security in place for the event. So I believe we may need a motion to potentially continue this item to the next council meeting.
Councilman Horner?
Yeah, so the applicant had reached out to me right before the meeting and just said, and I appreciate they did this, because we could have just let this one blow right on through on the consent agenda and we wouldn't have known any better. So they reached out and they just said, hey, we don't have, we still don't have our security nailed down. They didn't feel comfortable having it go through. They asked me to pull the item, and I am now making the motion that we continue this item to the next meeting because they do feel like they'll have more information then. So that's where we're at.
I have a motion, Councilwoman Ganem?
I'll second.
Mayor,
Yes.
let me just check. Michael, when was this submitted to us?
It was submitted in March. We've quite a few special event applications, some slow rolling them, so we're not looking at 8 of them on each council agenda. So this is probably had it since March. We look at these, I think, 2 weeks before the agenda typically, and kind of review them in a batch.
Good.
Good.
Do I have a motion and a second? Good.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Thank you. On the new business, item 29, resolution 2026-146, awarding a local option Economic Development Fund Award for Fremont Habitat for Humanity, Inc. in the amount of $475,000. Staff?
Good evening, Angie Olson, Plan Administrator. So we have received an application from Fremont Area Habitat for Humanity for LB 840 funds. The Fremont Area Habitat for Humanity builds and rehabilitates affordable housing for low to moderate, for low-income families. And they were pursuing the purchase of about 3.5 acres of property at 800 North Pierce Street. The plan is to develop a planned community of about 20 affordable homes. It'll be a mix of townhomes, small cottages, and starter homes. And these homes will be sold to income qualified families through Habitat's home program. Habitat is requesting $475,000 in a repayable loan from LB 840 fund for purchase of the property. And based on the documented housing need in Fremont's 2023 Fremont Affordable Housing Plan and the matrix that's provided with this application, staff recommend a $475,000 repayable loan at 0% interest from the Local Option Economic Development Fund. And we'd use the matrix that's attached. Housing is unique. It is applicable under our plan. We've only seen one other 505 apartments is the one that comes to my mind. So because this is new, staff spent some time developing the matrix as a way to provide a roadmap for applications like this one. And I'm here to answer any questions.
Any questions from council? Councilman Peterson?
What, no, so you said it's different, and I'm not against it. I just would like just a little more clarification on what, you say it's different. What do you
So
mean?
housing projects are something that is eligible under our plan. We just have not seen a lot of housing applications. And given that housing is a need in Fremont, it was really exciting to see something different and see a housing project.
Well, is a personal comment. This is when this used to be the Teagler property, the Boschel property. So when I was a teenager, that's where we had our 4-H horse show training, et cetera, et cetera. So I have a lot of good memories attached to that property, and I think it's wonderful. I would love to see it used. I can't think of a better way to do it. So I'm all for it. Thank you.
Councilman Horner?
Thank you, Mayor. Just a quick comment to Joy at Habitat. We appreciate you bringing this forward. We appreciate this activity and what's going on there. It's definitely an area that we need addressed, and thank you for doing so.
Councilwoman Gannon?
I guess I would echo the same, and it's an organization that's certainly close to my heart. Worked for Habitat for many years before, and it's not a giveaway program. So that's what's so great. It's one of the better organizations in lifting people up and getting them on their feet and giving them a solid home to live in that they ultimately pay for, and through sweat equity and certainly paying down the payments. So I think it's a wonderful thing. I'm glad to see them do this.
Councilwoman Lathrop?
I just wanted to add that on the LORT, everybody was really excited about the project as well, and had full support there.
Anybody else? Okay. I'll open public comment on this. Seeing none, I'll close public comment and I'll take a motion. Councilman Horner?
Thank you, Mayor. I am happy to recommend approval of Resolution 2026-146, awarding a Local Option Economic Development Fund Award to the Fremont Area Habitat for Humanity Incorporated in the amount of $475,000.
Councilman Jensen?
And I am happy to second.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Thank you. Item 30, Resolution 2026-164, authorizing the mayor to sign the contract with JEO for lead service, line replacement consulting services in the amount of $662,000 and 170.
Thank you. Troy Shaven, Assistant General Manager, Utilities. This item has to do with the EPA's lead and copper rule. It's a mandate that all municipalities identify and remove lead-containing water service lines within the city. Back in September, the council approved a grant with the state of Nebraska for $8 million, 70% of which was completely forgivable. 30% was a 0% interest 40-year loan to help with that process. Going through the schedule and how we're moving forward with this, the documentation that you get with these grants, there's a lot of red tape. It needs to be done in a certain way, or you risk losing those funds. If it's not submitted exactly per the guidelines of both the EPA and the state fund, you could potentially lose those grant monies. And at 600 houses and 15,000 a house, we're looking at about $9 million. JEO is the program manager for the city of Lincoln, a couple other cities in Nebraska, and a couple cities in Kansas. They have a process down. It's proven. They have developed the front end documents, the document management system, the public outreach. They work directly with the homeowners. They do all the water testing. They basically do all of the upfront work and make sure that all of the steps that need to be taken are taken and are documented and are submitted to the state in a way such that funding is not jeopardized. We went out for quotes for program manager. JEO was the only one that returned a quote. There aren't a lot of companies that do this. The quote was for $662,000, which we think is worth getting the programs set up, started the documentation, and getting us into a system where we know that 100% of the work we do is going to be eligible for those reimbursement funds. The 662 is eligible under the original 8 million that we got, so it could be used in that 8 million under the 70% fully reimbursable, 30%, 0% 40-year. But we've also gone back to the state, and we're in the process now of trying to get that original loan updated from the 8 million to add the 662,000. So it would be 8,662, same terms, 70% completely forgivable, 30%, 0% loan for 40 years. So what we're suggesting is, or what we're asking the council to approve is JEO as the program manager for our lead and copper rule service replacement program for a 2-year period at 662,000. At the end of 2 years, our hope is that city staff will have gained enough knowledge and the system will be set up enough so that really all we have to do is pick from our list of contractors, and the steps will be completely outlined. We'll have who we need to send. We'll have the exact form or the exact way that the form should be filled out. That will all be done in 2 years. If we wanted to continue to use JEO after 2 years, the price would go substantially down. It's like $850 a home. After that is what they would charge us to continue the process. The bulk of the work is setting up the system, setting up the, they have an internal program that basically collects the documentation, collects everything, puts it in the form that the state and the EPA want, and then everything is sent off. So what we're asking for is for the first 2 years of the program, and then we would reevaluate at the end of 2 years. Hopefully, city would be able to take over and submit those forms on our own. But if staffing were not available, or we weren't confident in that, we could extend the contract, and then it would be roughly $850 a home after that. Obviously, we'd have to come back to city council for approval to do that, but we're asking to approve the first 2 years at the 662,000.
Any questions from council? Councilman Horner?
No question, Mayor. Troy, I just appreciate the explanation, and I'm so ready for this one to begin, removing this hazard from the water supply. And this is truly a hazard. And I'm glad we've identified it. I'm glad we've got the money. I'm glad we got the plan. Let's get going.
So to kind of offer that too, originally our plan was to kind of baby step into this and get maybe 5 of them down, and our internal staff would handle everything. And if something would have happened and it wouldn't have been compliant, we lose 5 houses. We don't lose 50 or 100 or whatever it is. This first year, we're hoping to get 50 or 60 houses done. We're looking to get moving really, really fast. So along with you, I think this is going to get moving here. If the council approves this tonight, we'll have houses done by the end of this year.
Any other questions from council? Thank you. Open up to public comment. Seeing none, I'll close the public comment. I'll take a motion from council. Councilman Horner.
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to recommend that we approve resolution 2026-164, authorizing the mayor to sign the contract with JEO for lead service line replacement consulting services in the amount of $662,170.
Councilwoman Ganem.
And I would second.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Thank you. Item 31, motion affirming an emergency declaration by the mayor and utility general manager for expenses exceeding the spending limit.
Mayor, City Council, Jeff Shanahan, Utility Manager. Well, we're back here with Unit 8 having issues at the power plant. We went to put the unit online in, we took it offline in May to do a chemical clean of the boiler tubes. And that took a little bit longer than we had anticipated because there was some tube leaks once we did the boiler clean. So we got those resolved. And then on the morning of June 20th, we had all the leaks that we knew of fixed. Went to put the unit online at 10:53. The unit was synchronized, closed onto the grid, ran for about an hour. The staff reported they heard a loud noise and the unit tripped offline. Went to investigate and found the power potential transformer had faulted. What the power potential transformer does is takes the voltage from the bus going out to the grid and sends it up to the exciter to energize the field to create the electricity. So without that, there is no electricity. So crews are we've got crews out there right now doing testing on the generator, the transformers, the exciter itself, the isophase duct, CTs, PTs, relaying everything. So that's all being tested as we speak. We've got we're looking for any kind of replacement transformers we can get. We think we've got one source that will work. It's not a match, but a match to what we had is going to take 6 months, and that's not acceptable. So we're going to look at building a facility outside of the building, putting in some new conduit and running it into the building and getting it connected in probably a temporary permanent, position. So we're likely not going to spend in any one expenditure greater than the spending limit. However, we are looking for people that can get here and do the work and get the equipment to us as much as we're looking for price. This unit has to be online as sooner the better. So just would like you to affirm the emergency declaration, and we're going to do our best to get that unit online as soon as possible. Be happy to take any questions.
Questions from council? Okay. Comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll come back to council. Take a motion. Councilman Jensen?
I'll make the motion to approve.
Councilman Vaughn?
I will second.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
you. Item 32, ordinance 5743, setting electric rates for 2026 and 2027 for the Fremont Department of Utilities. First reading.
Mayor, City Council, Jeff Shanahan. This is we had a rate study done on all the utilities. Electric is first on the agenda. Electric system consists of the transmission, distribution, and electric production. When we told council that after we did our 2-year budgets, we would reach out to the rate consultant, have him do the analysis to see where we're at. We did that and we got the studies back. And the recommendation is on the electric, 9.5% for 2 years and 5% thereafter. We're only asking for the 9.5% for the first 2 years. And then when we do the next 2 budget cycles, we will have them do another study and see where we're at. The primary drivers are, as Jen explained, inflation has been a factor. In addition to, when we put the budget together, we included generation, substations, transmission lines, and those types of things. Those are extremely expensive, so that adds, $40–50 million into our budget, which would then have to be borrowed. And so it increases the amount of expenditures. And so the prices are going to go up. We're trying to do the best we can to figure out the length of the term. Unfortunately, what we had in the budget when these rates were established was about $40–42 million for the generation site. We're likely looking at significantly more than that when we actually go to build it, because prices continue to go up and lead times continue to go out. And so we've been interviewing engineering firms to help us with putting together the EPC contract and the procurement contract of the materials. Once we do that, we'll be able to get a better cost estimate of where they're at and then determine either we have to extend our borrowing and lower our debt ratio, or we have to back off on what we're going to build. Those kind of decisions are going to have to be made over the next couple of years as we go through this process, because we're limited to how much we can borrow. And, we're also cognizant of what that does to the rates. But the fact of the matter is our newest generating unit is 1978. And so, and it's offline today. So you can see what the impact is, and it's not good when it comes to our rates and our costs. So, we feel we need to move forward on some kind of generation project, and understanding that it's not going to be the best for the rates, but we also have a responsibility to reliability and safety. So I'll be happy to take any questions.
Questions from council? Councilman Horner?
Thank you, Mayor. Jeff, it's not lost on me, and I doubt it's lost on anybody else up here that we're talking about we're coming up here and talking about a rate increase, and we just did another emergency declaration on the equipment for generating. I had sent you an email, and specifically that was about the rate increases on electricity. But, one of the interesting things to me is that we also have a budget or an agenda item here following this one on natural gas rates. And in that one, we had made some decisions, I believe it was last year, or when it was, that we did make some increases in that one. And I know I'm getting ahead of myself, but it pertains to this item. We made those decisions, and today we're in a little bit better place on those rates than we would have had we not made the decision. So I think that is an important thing to keep in mind when we're thinking about these electric rates. We can't kick the can down the road, obviously, and I think that this emergency declaration happening to come right here just kind of sets it home for me that we've got to be thinking about the future.
Councilman Von Baron?
No, again, Jeff, I appreciate your proactive stance and things like this. I had a long, thoughtful email from a lady in our ward and asking about various things going on in the city and what are we going to do about this and what are we going to do about that. And one of the things that really struck me after some of the conversations is that we're truly living in some times that have changed from what we have known. What we're dealing with, we're going to be dealing with increasing budget challenges and some of those things. And from a city standpoint, yeah, we can probably make some adjustments, but your arena is basic life and what we use to exist. And we are benefiting right now from the forethought of people about 50 years ago, and their forethought is running out. And it's time for us to give it that same. I don't like these increases any more than anybody else. I'm sure, they don't always set well with the public, but this is it's in this case, it's better to be 5 years ahead than 1 day behind. Because once it catches you in that 1 day, the penalties are pretty large. So I appreciate what you're doing. I understand, again, I don't think any of us like approving these, but this is part of what we're going to have to bite the bullet and do as a city if we're going to maintain the quality for our residents and the basic essentials that we've become accustomed to depending on. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
And like I said, we're only looking at the first 2 years, because as we do the next budget, we'll reevaluate the rates and see what has to happen to them for the future years.
Councilwoman Lathrop?
I mean, all of us are going to be paying the same increased rates. So we're not just pushing it off on somebody else. We're part of this too. But I certainly appreciate going to work and going home and having it cool. So thank you in the last few days. But honestly, I did want to ask, what did the UIB decide?
The UIB, I think there was 4 people present. They voted 4-0. We had some discussions on some of the projects and the timelines and that kind of thing on. Pretty much, it's all boils down to the big driver is the generation and the transmission type projects, and whether we build generation, which we're going to have to do, we're still going to need additional transmission, additional firm transmission paths. Those kind of things are still going to come down the line, because these generators we're building, they are not base load generators. These are peaking units. They're for capacity. So we're going to be faced with some other challenges as we go forward. But, we still got to keep in mind that units 6 and 7 are going on 60, 70 years old, and there's a finite life to them. And as Fremont's load continues to grow and the capacity margin becomes tighter, we're going to have available capacity to replace it. This outage on Unit 8 is certainly not going to help our capacity margins, because we had been offline for so much of this fiscal year, or both calendar years we've been offline. So that's going to ding us for the next couple of years until we get that off of the 7-year average. So we need to be planning for these things. As units don't perform as well, we've got to have something that we can bank on.
Councilwoman Gannon?
And I'm going to add my voice and echo as the same, because I view utilities as essential, absolutely essential for the way we live. And oftentimes I do appreciate being able to flick on that switch. I really appreciate electricity. Even if we didn't grow with electricity, we're still going to grow with the use of it, with electrical cars. Everything that we're creating uses more electricity. So even if we stayed exactly the same, we're still going to be requiring more services from electricity. And I think it's absolutely essential that we address these and maybe really be more appreciative of what it is we have.
Councilman Peterson?
And I will also, I'll just be consistent here, but Councilman Von Baron, I appreciate his comments, because I do remember back when that generation made the investment to do what we have today. Had they not done that, I don't even know where we'd be. Maybe Plainview or something. I mean, some little town. I mean, there's just the fact that they made the investment 50 years ago. We have what we have today, and we don't have brownouts. And as everyone said, the lights are on, the air conditioning is on. It's a good deal, and our rates are not out of line when you look at what other people pay. I know it's still, I don't pay theirs, they don't pay mine, but I get it. So, no, I think it's like he said, we need to bite the bullet and move ahead and keep it going good for other generations that are coming after us too. We need to make the decision. It's a tough one. Nobody likes spending more money. I'm no different, but we're all gonna pay it. So, but thank you for doing a good job of managing it. Thank you for milking every ounce of energy you can get out of that old equipment. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Now, one thing on the comparables, we're comparing our proposed rates to other people's published rates. We do know that there are some utilities that are more than us already that are anticipating 6% a year for the next foreseeable years. So there's other people, our rates won't be as, we're in the middle, but we'll be closer to the middle.
Any other questions from council? I'll open up the public comment. Seeing none, I'll take a motion from council for first reading. Councilman Horner?
I will make the motion for approval of ordinance, first reading for approval of ordinance 5743, setting electric rates for 26 and 27 for the Fremont Department of Utilities.
Councilwoman Ganem?
I will second.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5743, an ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, establishing rate schedules for electricity consumed by customers of the municipal electric system, defining terms, repealing ordinance number 5704 and all other ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith. With this ordinance, providing when the rate schedules are effective, providing for severability, and providing when the ordinance shall be in full force and effect. First reading.
Thank you. Item number 33, ordinance 5744, setting natural gas rates for.
We take this as a third.
I would prefer not, because there's a couple clerical errors we want to fix in the rate ordinance. There was a mismatch on the winter and summer period that we want to get corrected. So, and it's going to be in a couple of these that we've noticed as we went through them today. And so we'd like to get those fixed.
All right, item number 33, ordinance 5744, setting natural gas rates for 2026 and 2027 for the Fremont Department of Utilities. First reading.
Jeff Shanahan, utility manager. When we did the rate study on the natural gas, it was determined that their rate increase was not warranted for these next 2 fiscal years. One of the unique things with the natural gas is basically we set a 0.12 or 1 point, we set a fixed price for our transmission cost, and we have a $5 natural gas cost as our baseline. So anytime natural gas is above $5, you get an adder to your bill. Anytime it's below $5, you get a credit on your bill. I don't know if you saw your bills this month, but you got a little bit of a credit on your bill this month. So really the natural gas to the group is a pass-through, even though it's a very large budget line item on our budget. It has a big account for the department. The gas department revenue is really very small compared to the overall budget because we're just covering the cost of the folks and the infrastructure inside in the town, because all the transportation and the cost of gas are all covered through the TCA and the PGA that's on our rates. So that is one thing with how that works. The other thing was we're adding language in the gas that we offer large customers the option to go to interruptible gas rate, which means when we have an issue with the gas system, if it's a critical day or we have something wrong on our system, we can tell them, hey, you need to be off gas and we're going to curtail you. If a customer doesn't do that, they get a penalty, and we've assigned it based on the Northern Natural Gas tariff, and it's in our tariff also. But there are companies that are willing to take that risk, use it during that period, pay the penalties, but that doesn't help our system to keep it in compliance. And so what we've done is we've added language that says, if you don't curtail when we tell you to curtail, that you're kicked to the fixed rate for that year. You can then apply in October for the next year to get on interruptible. If you don't do that 2 times in 5 years, you cannot apply for interruptible. You are on firm only. And then we will build our system to accommodate that firm. So we've added that language to it to give us some teeth.
Any questions from council? Seeing none, I'll open public comment. Seeing none, I'll close public comment. I'll take a motion for first reading. Councilman Ganem,
I move we hold first reading of ordinance 5744, setting natural gas rates for 2026 and 2027 for the Fremont Department of Utilities.
Councilman Jensen,
I will second.
The motion carries 7-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5744, an ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, establishing rate schedules for natural gas system, repealing ordinance number 5680 and all other ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance, providing when this rate schedules are effective, providing for severability, and providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect. First reading.
thank you. Item number 34, ordinance 5745, setting sewer rates for 2026 and 2027. The Fremont Department of Utilities, first reading.
Jeff Shanahan, Utility Manager. This is the sewer system rate increase. And it seems like we're always in here looking for sewer system increases. Sewer and water are extremely undervalued and we need them. They're critical to everyday life. Sewer fund, this is the first time, or last year was the first time since I've been down here that we actually ended the year on a positive note. That lasted 1 year. We're trending towards negative again. There's just not a lot of room in the sewer fund. Both sewer and the water are very large or very small departments, and costs just continue to go up. As far as infrastructure improvements go, one of our bigger ones for this year is that sewer main that was approved by City Council to rebuild the manholes and the pipe out from First and Luther out to the wastewater treatment plant. That's like 27 manholes and however many miles of pipe are being reconditioned. Yeah, we're looking to increase the sewer rates. I don't even remember now. There's been so many of these. It's, I think it's 8% or something on that order. An 8% sewer increase for both 26 and 27. And I think in the future years, John was also thinking it would need an 8% per year. But again, we'll reevaluate it in 2 years after we do our budget. You can see from the comparables, we're, well below the average, significantly below when we bring in other communities that are closer to our area. But I didn't include them. I only included the ones that John had on his study.
Any questions from council? Any comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll take a motion. Councilwoman Ganem,
I move we hold first reading of ordinance 5745, setting sewer rates for 2026 and 2027 for the Fremont Department of Utilities.
Councilman Vaughn.
I will second.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5745, an ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, amending rates, minimum charges, and surcharges for the use of the municipal sanitary system, repealing ordinance number 5666, and all other ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance, providing when the rates, customer charges, and surcharges are effective, providing for severability, and providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect. First reading.
Okay, thank you. Item number 35, ordinance 5746, setting water rates for 2026 and 2027 for the Department of Utilities. First reading.
Jeff Shanahan, General Manager, Utilities. Water system has the water production and water distribution system. The water production system consists of in-town wells that are used primarily as backup wells, and the primary source of water is from the well field. The wells range in age from the early 50s, maybe late 40s to the 80s and maybe right at 1990. We have, and then the distribution system is all the piping in the ground. In our capital improvement plan, we have included the cost of a horizontal well. That price is around $15 million. And then we have the lead service pipe replacement project, although a lot of it is funded through grant funds. There's still that portion that's on 0% interest, but we will still have to make those payments over time. So those are included in our capital improvement plan. After evaluation of the operating budget and the capital improvement plan, it was determined that we need a 6.5% increase on water for both years. Be happy to take any questions. You can see that we're very competitive with our average bills. We're right on the average price, and the increase is about $1.50 to $1.60 a gallon or a bill. One thing to note is 1 CCF is 748 gallons of water, and we're delivering it to your house for $1.22. So that's not a bad deal. Water is really undervalued for what it provides. It is a very important commodity.
Councilman Jensen.
Yeah, thanks for that. I'm just going to, we had these conversations sitting right on top of this Ogallala Aquifer for our waters. We really, really take that for granted. You don't have to get too far away, and everybody's paying a lot more for water. My son recently purchased a property in New Mexico and told me what it was going to cost him to have to put a well in over there, and with no guarantee they'll ever hit any water. And it's astronomical.
Yeah.
And we really should appreciate what we have and be good with it.
Yes, no, that's exactly right. It's almost like we're, we take water for granted here, and there is a value to it.
Any other questions? I'll take any comments from the public. Seeing none, I'll come back to council for a motion. Councilman Horner.
I will make the recommendation to hold first reading of ordinance 5746, setting water rates for 2026 and 2027 for the Fremont Department of Utilities.
Councilman Ganem.
I second.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5746, an ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, establishing rates and minimum charges for water consumed by customers and charges for services rendered by the municipal water system, providing when the rates, minimum charges, and charges are effective, repealing ordinance number 5693 and all other ordinances or parts of ordinance in conflict with this ordinance, providing for severability and providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect. First reading.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 36, ordinance 5748, amending chapter 4 and chapter 14 of the Fremont Municipal Code as it relates to garbage hauling and occupation taxes on haulers. Emergency ordinance first reading.
Mayor, City Council, Dan Gillis, Public Works Director, thanks for your time. Last meeting that we had, you approved a contract with Waste Management at Pheasant Point Landfill. Our current contract with Waste Connections at our transfer station will expire at midnight tonight. The new contract will start tomorrow. These ordinance changes will implement that change and redirect waste from our licensed haulers to be forced to go to Pheasant Point as our designated disposal facility. It also does a couple of housekeeping items, moves a section from vehicles to licensing, so better fit. Also eliminates some obsolete language that referenced 2013 licensed haulers. The other thing it does is reduce our occupation tax from $24 to $18. The point of that is to give our licensed haulers some reprieve for the extra miles they're going to drive to Pheasant Point and for the extra work of revamping their hauling routes. So to give them a temporary benefit of a reduction in that cost, while we figure out what our long-term solution is through RFP. So the idea is once we get a new long-term solution in place, then the occupation tax will increase again. The other thing it does is changes how we collect that occupation tax. Currently, Waste Connections collects that from haulers and then pays the city. The new arrangement will be that we'll direct bill for the haulers. That'll take any questions.
Any questions from council? Okay, seeing none. Take any comments from council or from public? Seeing none, I'll close that and come back to council. For a motion, Councilman Jensen.
I'll make the motion to approve of ordinance 5748.
Councilman Vaughn.
I will second.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5748, an ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, repealing and replacing chapter 4, article 3, and chapter 14, article 2, sections of the Fremont Municipal Code regarding a solid waste disposal facility, and all other ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance, providing for severability and providing when this ordinance shall be in full force to effect first reading.
You have a request to suspend rules and hold final reading, Councilman Jensen.
I'll make the request to suspend the rules and hold the final reading on ordinance 5748.
Councilman Horner.
You know, Mayor, I think that sometimes we do this a little too often, but then there are times where it is truly time is of the essence, and obviously this is one, so I will second.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5748, an ordinance of the city of Fremont, Nebraska, repealing and replacing chapter 4, article 3, and chapter 14, article 2, sections of the Fremont Municipal Code regarding a solid waste disposal facility, and all other ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance, providing for severability and providing when this ordinance shall be in full force and effect. Final reading.
Cast your final vote.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor. Ordinance number 5748 is approved.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted you to affirm for the minutes that this ordinance would constitute an emergency and that you would proclaim that it go into effect in accordance with Nebraska statute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So is that your proclamation?
That is my proclamation, yes. Okay, I was just gonna ask you that. Item number 37, ordinance 5749, amending and replacing chapter 6, articles 1 and 2 relating to animal control. First reading, this is a councilman member Ganem and Von Baron item.
Mayor and council, as we reviewed this, looking through it on the agenda, we became aware that the only thing that was listed in the agenda itself was the previous ordinance. And the proper structure, of course, is to have the previous ordinance along with the proposed changes. Somewhere along the line, that file did not make it. We were trying to blame Michael, but we couldn't because that file evidently didn't make it to him. It was either stripped because of its large size from an email, or there was an ID 10T error that created it. So regardless, what we would like to do is make a motion that this item be continued to the July 14th agenda. Michael has the correct information now. He has both editions, and at that time we'll present both the existing and the proposed changes. I would like to make that motion.
Okay, I have a motion to continue. Councilman Ganem.
And I'll second that motion.
The motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
Mayor, if I could interject, I would have liked to have had a moment just to have some discussion on that. And I would like, if I could.
Privilege motion to continue.
get our votes? Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn. Councilman Ganem,
I move we adjourn.
Councilman Vaughn,
Second.
That motion carries 7-0, Mayor.
okay, we're adjourned.